Hello, Guten Tag und Grüß Gott. Today is January the 28th, 2023, and the month has gone by. Actually, you know what? I just made a mistake. It's actually January 29th. If I said 28th, that wasn't so. I don't edit my videos, so I'm entitled to leaving the mistakes in there, I think. Well, what a month it's been. Of course, Christmas is over, New Year's is over, and oh my God, new Congress is setting up for work right now, and they're already making committees and all kinds of stuff. And Kevin McCarthy had a really rough time, getting some sort of a majority to become Speaker of the House. Anyway, it's a turmoil. And I tell you what, with a sad, sad voice, I'm going to tell you about something that just very recently happened. And a video tape was released by, I think it was the Memphis Police Department, about an incident where 4, maybe 5 policemen really beat the crap out of a guy. And I can show you the Wall Street Journal right here from that what was printed here lately, because they just released a video of the family sorrow punctuates the release of Tyron Nicole's video. And there's the family, being sad. So this is really a bad deal. These cops definitely went over the top and just beat the crap out of this guy. And they stopped him, the usual trope, cops stop a black man because he in a car, okay? So he either had a, sometimes a tail light broken, or somehow, a black male attracts the attention of the police. And then things really go south. So they stop this guy, and I'm not going to go into the details on it because it's really quite gruesome, and I'm just going to comment on how I kind of feel about this thing. So they stop this guy, and an altercation happens. The cops have body camera on, and so evidently the guy does what young black men do when they get stopped by a cop. They run away, or they argue with them, or anything like this. That's also a trope, okay? And Chris Rock talked about this in a comedy routine some time back. Of course, you won't hear that now. And the thing that I remember about this, he says, you guys, talking to his black brethren, don't run away from the cops, because you know what? When they come and catch you, they bring the ass whoop with them. And the ass whoop came with them, and these cops, really just wailed on him. And there's video of him being in a hospital and so forth. Definitely over the top. Yeah, he probably argued with them, he ran away, and all that kind of stuff. So, what is the lesson in this? Well, according to the Democrats, let's defund the police, right? That's a bunch of bullshit, How do we get the right kind of cops on there, that treat these people that are criminals, okay, or that are being stopped for some reason or another, with more respect for human life and dignity and so forth? And, I kind of feel sorry for the cops, because they're dealing with a tremendous amount of bullshit, like every day. Every day that they're on a job, there's something going on. And so I can kind of see, where they might be overreacting a little bit when they find somebody that's not cooperating. But this particular issue, this particular thing, was so much over the top that it just, I don't know, it appalled everybody. I'm not sure what we're going to do about it. The other thing that's been happening here lately, mass shootings. A mass shooting is whenever 3 people or more are shot, by some sort of an incident, then it's a mass shooting. So we just had, I think it was in Monterey, if I'm not mistaken, some dumb shit, went, well, no, actually, it was in the, actually, it was Monterey Park, which is not Monterey Park, LA. Forgive me for my old memory on this, but I'm doing this, just straight from the heart and from however I remember it, because I really do enjoy making these videos. So Monterey Park has got a heavily populated Asian community. And on the news, they called it the tight-knit community. And that in itself has got racism and discrimination in its background, because what happens when you have a tight-knit community? Well, they stick together. How do you stick together? You exclude others, And we have a bunch of these communities around. They're not getting criticized a hell of a lot because they're Asian communities for the most part. So, for instance, when my son wanted to join a Vietnamese Boy Scout troop because he thought that was kind of cool and he had some friends in there, they wouldn't let him join because he was not Asian. He wasn't Vietnamese. And, so, of course, while white and Western Europeans are still in a majority and so forth, as soon as you have a white or a Western club, or you try to exclude anybody from that, even though the Constitution guarantees the right of free association, so it's a bit of a conundrum, because if you start excluding people, when they're qualified and just saying, well, because of your skin color, your race, or whoever you are, or you're white or male or so forth, you're excluded from participating in the good life, well, that's discrimination. And that cuts both ways, for blacks or minorities and the majority, actually, And Hillary Clinton was always talking about the tyranny of the majority because, at the time we had a Republican Congress, and Newt Gingrich, was in charge, and he says he'll make a contract with America. And the Democrats called it a contract on America. They just turned it into shit. But this is what politicians do. I understand that. So, what else is in the news? Well, the market had a recent recovery a little bit, As a matter of fact, Dow Jones and some of the indices, are hovering at the time, when they were in their highs back in 2021, mid-July or so. So that's kind of interesting. Tesla in particular has shown quite a bit of market attention, and, the shares are up. And I think they're nearly to the point, where there was a split. I think they split at 200 or so, I mean, they split at, I think it was 4-1 at whatever it was, So it wound up, that everybody's shares went up by 4, but of course they were down to around $200. And I could be wrong about this. So, if you're interested, look it up what happened. But anyway, so the market is doing a little better, but, they're still talking about recession and the recession because, traditionally my son Patrick tells me that, recessions happen about in a cycle of every 10 years or so. And with the recession, of course, there comes a market downturn, and some of the market downturns are really severe, like one we had in 20, during the pandemic, the market just went to crap. And, the people that panicked at that time, they lost a lot of money because the market came back in a few months. And, if you had the right investments and you kind of didn't panic, you were okay. Turned out that we just didn't panic, so we were kind of okay. Nevertheless, the market has had a hard time, but looks like, all the indicators, that are saying, oh yeah, we're due for a recession. There's also the effect of the Fed raising the interest rate. And, they're trying to reduce the amount of money that's in the economy that was pumped in during the um, COVID pandemic, when they used to say, that the Fed money machines are going burr, and so instead of printing money like crazy. Well, inflation happens when you have a lot of money involved, in the economy. And so they're trying to reduce the amount of money by raising the interest rate so people spend less and there's less money in the economy and so forth. Makes all good sense. But then we have our wonderful, smart Democrats, okay? And what did they do? They passed an omnibus spending bill. $2 trillion of spending, okay? So they're pumping money into the economy with $2 trillion worth of omnibus spending bill because they had the majority. They were able to do that. And you know what? Jesus, they called it the Inflation Reduction Bill. I mean, how stupid do they think their voters are? There must be, people are voting for him. So, they're saying the right thing but this is about the dumbest thing I've ever, well, not so dumb because it's really smart. Gives them more votes, I mean, let's raise the minimum wage some more, right? In California, we just raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour or whatever it was, from, I don't know, 12. Well, great, so now hamburgers cost more and all these people, they got a raise. Now they have to spend more money. Oh, Jesus. I am no economic genius, that's for damn sure, but does this make any sense, guys? This does not make any sense. I see the smiling head of Reagan behind me. This guy was probably, okay, so he died of Alzheimer's and all that, but he got to be in his 90s, with his Alzheimer's. But you know what? During his lucid time, when he was on top of the world and president, reelected, he did a lot of right things. And that's the reason you see him on my wall here, along with my Hellcat cutout. And of course, Jimi Hendrix. Big fan of Jimi Hendrix. All right. So what else? Oh, the Canadians. Oh, I tell you about the Canucks. Are they something or what? So, Jesus. So the Canadians. I tell you, this is just crazy as hell. I've got some notes here, so at least I know what topic to talk about. So 20 some cows near Montreal escaped from a farmer, a rancher. I don't know. They just escaped, okay? And these cows, they couldn't be caught, okay? So, because, they were smart. So what the cows would do is they would go and during the day and hide in the forest, which was nearby. And then at night they would come out, and if they found fields to feed on, they would eat the farmer's grains and stuff. And they were trying to catch him, but, you have to do that humanely, because the Canadians are really, they value life of all sorts, and, Trudeau, right? So what's happening is that the farmer is trying to round out his cows, but now there is an outcry, let the cows be free, the cows are now free cows because they don't want to be penned up, and why should you be catching them? And this guy is losing a bunch of money because, well, he doesn't get the milk and so forth. But, it's been going on for some time. And so the cows are having cows, actually. They're having babies with them. They're making family. They're doing good. It's kind of like the Old West, How did we get our Longhorn beef, And, how did the cattle industry start in the U.S., back in probably late early 1800s? Well, these were wild cows out there, the Longhorns and whatnot was out there. And they were rounded up, and shipped off to Chicago to the slaughterhouses. Anyway, so they're trying to round these things off. But, this has been going on for weeks because these guys are really wily. It kind of reminds me of the elephants escaping in India, They couldn't be rounded up either. You know, there are 300 elephants, you know, roaming through India. And you know what? The matriarchs, they know what the hell they're doing, you know, and the elephant herds, you know, because what they did is they said, well, you know, it's okay out here, you know, we're free and everything, but you know what? It's really nice when they give us food every day and so forth. So they turned around and went back to the zoo. Oh, and of course, you know, well, Prince Harry and Meghan, holy shit, you know, I mean, they wrote a book, Prince Harry wrote a book called Spare, and Jesus, he's just lambasting the royals, you know, so that's going on. Anyway, the news, yeah. So, yeah, Kevin McCarthy became the Speaker of the House, you know. I think he became the Speaker by about 3 votes or something like that, you know, I don't know. And the January 6th committee, oh boy, they got a hold of Trump's taxes, all right? You know, Trump didn't want to release his taxes, he didn't want to, and they say, oh my God, he didn't pay any taxes, okay? Well, what the hell? You know, they were all legitimate deductions, you know, so he gave a bunch of money away to charities and stuff. Hell, he gave his salary away every month, you know, the presidential salary. And so, you know, if you give the money away to charity, you can deduct this stuff. So it turned down to a nothing burger because they thought they're really going to slam him. Oh, there's all kinds of bullshit going on. Well, there isn't anything going on. So what else is going on? Oh yeah, we had a massive airline outage. And it wasn't an airline outage, it was the airline system outage, and it's called NOTAM. And it's called, NOTAM is NOTAM, and it is the Notice to Air Missions. And I have to laugh about this because, you know, I'm a pilot, okay? And when I flew in the 70s and early 80s, you know, this was called the Notice to Airmen system. You know, of course, in the meantime, you know, we had to degenderize it, and it's now Notice to Missions. But it's still NOTAM. And it's really important, you know, because as a matter of fact, you know, I've got a whole story about how I got lost in the air, you know, because I didn't go to the pilot's assembly, you know, the pilot station room, you know, because they had, you know, coffee and donuts and things like this. But you also had, you could read the NOTAMs, you know, the Notice to Airmen at that time. And yeah, I should probably do a video on this because here I was lost, you know, up in the air, you know. I had to call the FAA for help, and it extended my my training, you know, for another 3 extra hours, you know, airtime. You know what? In dead reckoning, okay? We used to learn how to do dead reckoning in the past. So anyway, I did get my license, you know, it was all well, and flew around all kinds of places, and it was fun. As a matter of fact, I still have a friend that has an airplane, and from time to time, you know, we go out and fly to Catalina for a hamburger. That's kind of cool, right? All right. So what else going on? Oh, you know, this is really sad. Gina Lollobrigida. God. You know, she, Jane Russell, and, you know, some of those stars, you know, we thought they were just the sexiest women in the world, you know, and of course they were. And she was actually voted the prettiest woman in the world at least once, maybe several times. But in any case, she was a film star, of course, and maybe you have never even heard of her. She died at 95. Well, I tell you what, when she was 25, she was really hot. And of course, that's the time that I knew her. And, you know, I mean, I did not know her, but I knew of her, and, you know, probably saw pictures in restrooms, you know, here and there, you know, the old days, okay? Anyway, so unfortunately she died, and, you know, this is what happens, you know, you come, you get to play, and then you're gone. At least from this planet. Who knows what else happens to you and who you really are. So, another thing. I was just talking about cows. So let me talk more about cows. I love that, you know. I mean, there are cow farts, right? Somebody mentioned that. I think it was during the Reagan era. I mean, oh yeah, pollution is cow farts, greenhouse gases. Well, there is really something to it, because about 40% of the greenhouse gases that are being produced right now are actually originating in agricultural activity. Okay, so yeah, human activity. When you lump all of those things together, human activity does increase greenhouse gases. There's just no question about it. How bad is it? I don't know. What does the planet do with it? I don't know. We think maybe it's bad things, like rise in sea levels, the Arctic ice disappearing, polar bears can't slide around and hunt seals, I mean, shit like that, so it's probably not good. So, yeah. So what else is going on? Well, I just recently discovered something that was really, really fascinating, and I think it's going to be life-changing. And that is called Chat GPT. Okay? So AI chat has produced this wonderful website, and you can go to sign on to create an account, sign on to ChatGPT, and then type in a few parameters with a question and everything, and it'll write a story. And you know what? A damn good story. This thing is really something. So if you haven't availed yourself to that yet, ChatGPT is really something you should kind of look at. And what will that do to the educational system? That all the research papers can be written in just typing in all the parameters that you want to know. The dates and so forth. I've happened to ask it. We know that there was a 500-year anniversary of the signing of the Magna Carta. Was there a celebration? Tell me about the celebration throughout the world. And so, ChatGPT started writing, and you know what? It said there were parades in Britain and all that kind of stuff. And it wrote a wonderful story, very coherent, good English, better English than I can write, So anyway, so I read this thing, and I was thoroughly impressed, And then it kind of whimsically, it wound up in the end saying, and they all lived happily ever after. It's so cool. Anyway, so kind of hate to end on a bad note, but the Ukrainian war is still going on. I should call it the war in the Ukraine. Russians fighting Russians. I mean, Jesus Christ. But evidently the Wagner Group are the really badasses there, because the Wagner Group are kind of a ad hoc military organization. Reminds me a little bit of Blackwater, But anyway, they're going around the prisons in Russia and saying, hey, we can get you out of this prison here if you join the Wagner Group and you come and fight with us. Now, chances are that you're probably going to die, but if you do make it through, not everybody dies, you've served your sentence, and the Russian government goes along with that. So evidently the bulk of the troops that are now in Russia, and also those that have participated in atrocities and so forth, they're ex-prisoners, under that Wagner Group. And who is the Wagner Group? Well, it was kind of started by a guy that really admired Hitler, And who did Hitler admire? Richard Wagner. I shouldn't say that. It's Richard Wagner, okay? Don't say Wagner. I say Wagner. I don't know. I guess I'm a hell of a lot more American than I am German, but what the hell is that anyway, being an American? It's kind of a cool thing, I'm very proud to be an American. Love the flag, national anthem, pledge your allegiance. No friggin' kneeling for me, unless it's for kneeling for God, okay? So, there you are. And I think 25 minutes is probably plenty for a video of this size. So I want to bid you farewell. So long. Auf Wiedersehen. And remember that as humans, we must infect the universe with us.